what I want to do first off, like I normally do, give you your tip. Now, the tip today can be for editors, but it's also for anyone who has a hard drive that has extensive content on it. Now, whenever I start a new project, and the reason I'm bringing this tip up today, I have been about to start, and I just backed up the footage from a longtime client that I have that I do a lot of editing with. So he mails me hard drives with content on it, lots of gigs and gigs and gigs. That's why we don't use any online file transfer. It's such a pain. But anyway, don't want to get into that. The tip is, once you need to make room on your hard drive that you edit with, I have multiple hard drives. So one is dedicated to my clients that I edit for. So whenever I finish a project, I usually leave it there for a few months just in case the client wants to change anything. That makes it simple for me. That makes me a smart businessman as far as my clients are concerned if they need to make a last minute change. A lot of clients I work with enter their short films into festivals. So they may get it from me, they may like it, and then they may 3 weeks later decide, oh, you know what, I want to change this scene, or I want to add something. So if I have it directly already on my hard drives, I can make that change for them. And it's wonderful for them and easy for me. So I keep that drive pretty much clean, not clean, but not so packed that I can't continue to use it for other projects. So the tip is having an extra drive, dedicated drives. Now, I know some of you may not want to spend the extra money, but if you're doing this as a business, if you're editing as a business, and you're just small, you're a small person, you don't have a lot of funds to lay out on drives that you won't be using all the time, have one dedicated client drive. And also, this can pertain to people who have their own home business and want to back up their own content. The cloud backup is great, but don't always rely on the cloud. Do not have that as your only backup. You need to have, in the old days of computers, well, the old days, 10 years ago, the saying was 3 different backups. One at your home, one in the cloud, and one somewhere physically removed from your home. Now, that's for stuff that's critical. And I would do that when I worked on feature films for people. I would have my drive. I would make sure they had their drive with all the content on it. And the way I always would make sure they spent the extra $100 to get an extra drive for them just as a backup is that I tell them the truth. You don't know what's going to happen to me. You give me your hard drive. You spent a month, 2 months shooting a feature film, and you give me your hard drive with all the content on it. What if something happens to me? I'm not going to live forever. Nope. I'm not going to be here forever. So I always tell them, and that makes them realize right away, because I say it tongue in cheek, but that's serious. It's not funny. It's not a joke, because I could get into a car accident and I have their footage and all the footage they did for the whole feature film that we worked on a month. And then all of a sudden everything's gone. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. So that's why I make them understand. So they had their drive. I had my editing drive with all the content on it. And then I would recommend either the cloud or some other drive that was outside of their home. So that's when we're working on projects for feature films and things that you just can't lose. So the same principle could pertain to you at home as an editor if you've transferred all your family photos over to video and you don't want to lose it. If you have old VHS tapes that you transferred to digital, you can't just have one copy. You can't just have one copy on your hard drive. So this is a tip: multiple backups, multiple drives, multiple locations. 3 is probably good. 1 in the cloud, 1 at your physical location, and then 1 somewhere else. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're ever working on projects that are really critical, or someone's paying you high dollar amount to do it, and they expect you to keep their footage. Just like when we upload stuff to the cloud, we don't want to get an email from Google saying, oh, we had a drive crash and all your family photos are gone. You can't accept that. You'd have to accept it. There would be nothing you could do about it. But that's not how businesses run. And if you're running a business, if you're managing your family photos that you want to have to show to your great-great-great-grandchildren, you don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose it. I'm out here in California, and a lot of people just suffered through the fires. So hopefully a lot of them had their stuff, their critical stuff backed up to the cloud. And a lot do. Maybe they had physical copies someplace else. That's why I thought this tip was important today. And that's the thing too. I like to give out these tips. I'm trying to broaden my reach. I mainly talk to actors, directors, and editors, but I want to broaden my reach because I've been getting a lot of email from different people who come across me on these verticals live. That's why I love to do this. And they shoot me an email. They ask me a question. And it's somewhat related to what I talk about, acting, directing, and editing, but I'm very interested in answering those because I'm really expanding my reach also as far as artificial intelligence is moving into my wheelhouse, acting, directing, and editing. And so I've been doing a lot of work. Now I'm going to pivot. That was the tip. Now I'm going to pivot into what I'm talking about today. Let's keep my little notepad right here so I can refer to it. I'm going to talk a little bit about, and I'm going to be talking on these lives, and then also I'm going to be doing some separate short videos and maybe some long form videos also. I'm trying to pivot away from doing so many on the short feed. I'm going to do some on the short feed. Obviously, where I built my bones. This is where you guys discovered me. This is where a lot of people have found out about my channel. And I can't abandon the shorts. I love the shorts. They help me get my subscriber. I'm up there where I need to be, over my 1,000 subscribers. My watch hours are getting close to 2,000. So that's almost halfway to where I need to be for monetization. But the reason I'm talking about artificial intelligence more is because it's affecting acting, directing, and editing. And then also, as I learn about how it's affecting the field that I'm interested in, I'm also learning, and I want to share it because it's going to make me give content out that's usable to more people. What I'm doing as I learn about artificial intelligence and how it's affecting the job market for everyone. Listen to me, everyone. Artificial intelligence will affect the job market. Affect, not infect. A Freudian slip, as they say, will affect everyone. And I know a lot of people are afraid. And if you do work that's primarily computer-based, where you're maybe entering data, or I never thought I would say this. I always would recommend young people go into computer programming and learn how to code. If it affects coding, and you do basic coding, where your plan was to get hired by a company and do basic coding for them. If you build websites, if you do any work that happens all on the computer, there's an ability for artificial intelligence to replace you completely or partially. I watch a lot of videos with some of the top level tech people. And what I want to do, and I thought of this idea today, is to start bringing some of that information to you guys and putting it here on my channel. But in plain talk like I talk. I talk like you talk. I'm not as smart as them, but when I listen to what they say, that's one of my business skills. When I listen to what they say, I can take technical jargon and make it understandable to everyone. I've been an instructor. I've been an instructor on many different topics: film, video, customer service. I've done a lot of technical videos where I listen to the person who invented the program or invented the machine or invented the technique, and they will explain it to me. I will parrot it back to him or her, and we will come to an understanding of, am I saying what you want me to say in plain spoken English? That's my specialty. And I realized today that that's something I should be doing with artificial intelligence. Not just for my target audience, actors, directors, and editors, but for everybody. Because like I'm telling you right now, artificial intelligence is going to affect everybody's job. It may not take your job away. Part of it, your management, your supervisors, your company will want you to use it to speed up what you do. Now, I've worked in many different fields over the years because the field I'm working in, I'm an actor, I'm an editor, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a director. It's not steady. I don't do that every day. So sometimes when business was low, slow, or down, I would work in other fields that I have skills in. So when you're in a normal, everyday working environment, office environment, warehouse environment, all types of environments, you will notice, and if you admit to yourself, you realize that when you're at work, you're not working nonstop 8 hours a day. I would say, I'm going to be conservative about this, and I'm not trying to pin or push any buttons or anything like that. Most people, when they go to work, if you get 4 or 5 hours worth of work done in your 8-hour day, you're a top performer. You are a top employee. So I'm not talking about bus drivers. I'm not talking about mailmen. I'm not talking about the doctors and nurses in the hospital who work nonstop, or waiter or waitress. I'm talking about your normal office computer-related job where you're sitting behind a desk and you're doing something that has to be done on a computer. If you get 4 hours worth of work done, that's impressive. Me as an editor, I'm going to admit to you, when I edit films, like I was just now, when I came out here to do this, I was working on a short film that I just mentioned to you. I'm working for a client. He just got me a new project came in yesterday. And I usually edit 4 or 5 hours a day straight. Now, even when I'm sitting there editing straight, I'm getting up, getting coffee, I'm getting water, I'm getting something to eat. I might do 4 or 5 hours worth of work straight. And then I start to lose focus. And when you're doing something like editing or creative, or you're on the computer and you're typing, if you're a writer, if you're writing press releases, if you're writing information for the newspaper, if you're writing information for technical manuals, whatever it is, if it's computer related and you're sitting there and you're doing it, you can't do it effectively more than 4 or 5 hours a day. So the reason I'm saying that is that bosses know that too. They're not stupid. A lot of them came up the ranks in the jobs that you're doing right now. And they know how much work they really did during the day. They know how many times they took bathroom breaks. They know how many times they went to the water cooler. They know how many times they took a long lunch. They know how many times they took phone calls that were on a personal level. That's why all those rules are in place, because people know. That's why you hear a lot of stories from like Amazon where they go crazy and run their employees into the ground. They won't even let them go to the bathroom when they're on the trucks or something. I don't know if that stuff is still going on, but I heard about it. Same thing with the post office. I'm mentioning the post office because I see my neighborhood post office worker who just delivered my mail walking past. They used to drive those people crazy by making them trying to get every 8 hours. If you're there 8 hours, you get paid 8 hours. They want you to work 8 hours straight. A bathroom break again? Didn't you have a bathroom break an hour ago? So we all know that we don't work straight 8 hours every day. And that's where AI comes in. AI can work nonstop. AI doesn't want to stop because it's created. That's all it does, is it's there to work. It's there to gather this information from off the internet, from all the information it's pulled in off the internet, the learning, large language models, that's what they call it, where basically what that means is that they scraped the internet. All the information that is now on the internet, they scraped it and taught their computers with it. So that every time you type something into, let's use ChatGPT, because that's my favorite. Every time you type something into ChatGPT and ask it a question, it has all that information already inside its databases. So it grabs it. And it's not just one. There's multiple servers grabbing all that information at once. That's why I can get back to you so quickly with the answers. And various answers. Not just one answer like Google, various answers. And it can ask you if it wants you to do more. It can know what should come next or what might come next, and then prompt you at the end. Would you like me to look up this? Would you like me to look up that? Would you like me to correlate this? Would you like me to make you a list of that, of these topics? So it has gathered. That's how they taught the systems. That was the breakthrough. When they realized that all that information could be gathered into one place where it all had access to. And not just one server goes out and looks for whatever you ask it. Multiple servers gather that information quickly. That's why it comes back to you so quick, because they gather it, they pull it together, and it spits you out an answer. Now, if you look at ChatGPT, there are different ways. I'm pointing up here because I'm looking at in my mind, I'm looking at the screen. And there are ways where you can tell it to give you an instant answer, where you can tell it to think more, and they're developing more of that. So sometimes I use the one where I want it to think more. I want it to take longer. I don't want it to just give me the first answer it comes up with. I want it to think longer, and that means it's going to look through more of its database of information that it's gathered as it was learning. Now, I'm going to stick with this for right now. I'm tempted to jump into general intelligence, but that's something I'm going to talk about later. I'm really excited for the time when that happens. They are, trying to move towards that. And that's even smarter than what we have right now, large language models. So again, I don't want to overwhelm you with information right now. I want to give it small little bits of what I'm learning and what I continue to learn. I'm learning off of as they say, I'm standing on the shoulders of smart giants, and I'm listening to what they're saying and how they've done what they've done. Because they're telling us how this is done. They're telling us how they do it and how they thought about this. And so we, like myself, people who had never thought of this, who would have never thought of what these computer scientists and these programmers have created for us and that we're using now, and now I take it for granted. I literally take all the information I have access to now. And I use ChatGPT and a lot of the video generation programs that I work with as assistants. They work for me. I always get the paid model because supposedly it works a little bit faster. You don't get locked out when you have a question you want to ask. So I get the paid models, and it's worth it. It is worth it. So that's why these services, and that's why a lot of the companies like Google and Gmail, everybody's trying to push artificial intelligence on you to use it, even when you don't want it. Sometimes I just go back to Google because I just want a quick answer. I just want a simple answer. I don't need the deep dive of artificial intelligence. So Google won't lose. They won't go out of business with their search engine. They could, who knows? But I don't think they will. But because I just use that sometimes when I just want a quick answer, I'll just type it in. The only thing that gets me with Google is that it doesn't want to listen. It doesn't want to take the time. As soon as you take a breath, if you try to give it a question, because a lot of times I like to use the voice to text. And with Google, which I don't notice on any of the artificial intelligence programs, if you take a pause and you want to think for a moment, it shuts you right off, and then it starts looking for the few words you did get out. So you got to talk real fast. If, for instance, I want to know something, like right now, I'm having a problem with some termites in my front yard. And if I say, tell me how to kill subterranean, and if I take that pause, they're already looking for something. And they don't even have my complete thought. With ChatGPT, it's smart enough not to do that. It actually listens to what I'm saying and waits till I finish my sentence. And then it waits a few beats to make sure I'm not going to say anything else. And then it shows the text to me to let me know that it received my question. And then I can submit it. So I like that better. I use it a lot. But I still use Google search when I want just a really quick answer. But anyway, there's more I want to get into about artificial intelligence. And if you go to my channel, follow the link below, please. That's why I'm here on the Vertical Live, to get you to look at my links and go to my channel, look at some of my playlists, and also look at some of the long form videos, 16:9, that I'm now doing on artificial intelligence. I'm really hyped about this concept. I thoroughly enjoy being at the beginning of this new era. And it's not just an era of time that is affecting my field, acting, directing, and editing. Now, most of my career, when something new came along, I was only interested in the stuff that affected me: filmmakers, acting, writing, the new software, the new programs, the newest camera gear. But that's isolating. That's limited. My appeal is limited. Artificial intelligence is affecting everyone. You can deny it. You can try to ignore it. And you're going to get left behind. Find out, if you have a job, if you've been there for a while, find out how your management is using it. Find out how they want to use it. Don't think you're a brown noser because you know the future. You can see what's coming. You're not just going to sit back and be afraid. Find out how they're using it and how you can fit in. That's one way. That can't save everyone. And also, to be honest, start looking for other potential employment. If you're young, you're still in that age range where you have the option to move into another career. Honestly, consider it if you're not interested in being involved with computers. And everyone's not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you everyone has to be able to use artificial intelligence, because there are people who have businesses that artificial intelligence won't directly affect what you do. Like the other day, I had somebody over here at my home doing some, we had a tree root cut through a sewer line in my backyard. So we had to have people who were plumbers, real plumbers who knew what they were doing. I couldn't do it. I'm too old to get down there and dig up a ditch and try to replace a sewer pipe that's been in the ground for like 30 years. We had some people come over. They actually dug out the tree, cut out the whole root, removed it, left the ditch open. Then the plumber came. We called the plumber. We became the contractors because the original contractor wanted an absurd quote of money to solve our problem. And he wasn't going to do it all himself. He was going to subcontract it. So we decided we're going to step in and be the subcontractor. So anyway, we had all these people who came over, plumbers, people who were garden related, who could remove a tree and remove the whole stump. Then we had a little error with the plumber, cut a wire. So they cut a wire. And so then we had to have an electrician come over. And I had to get him to do some modifications. Those are jobs that artificial intelligence will supplement, will help them find new clients, will help them learn new techniques that they can use when they physically have to go to a location and do the work. So if you watch any of the videos, and I watch a lot of the videos online about artificial intelligence, I'm obsessed with it. Honestly, I'm obsessed with it. So that's why I want to teach it to you. I want to bring it down in everyday, normal, homespun language, bits at a time. Because I've seen a lot of videos with the robots. Some are impressive, but they can't. A lot of them are being operated behind the scenes with joysticks. I found that out. So they're years away from a fully functional robot who can just go in and clean your house, or a robot who can just come in and cook your breakfast, or a robot who will be like a human butler. We're years away from that. We're years away from that. Don't believe any of that hype. We're years away from that. So there's other avenues with artificial intelligence that I will be talking to you about. And I'm going to expand this area because it's something I'm really interested in. And we will continue to have this conversation. And I'd like it to be a two-way conversation. Please go to my channel, find my email, shoot me an email, leave me a message. I respond to all my messages. I answer all my messages. If you have a question, leave it down there. Or my email address is easy to find, right on my channel. Shoot me an email. I answer every message I get. I hope there will be a day when I won't be able to answer every message just because I will be so inundated. But right now, I answer every message. So have a good evening. I kind of like coming out in the evening. It kind of caps off my day. I'm going to go back in. I'm doing some experimenting with a new artificial intelligence program that I have been toying with called VO3 Flow. And that's something that we'll talk about down the road. I just started toying around with it again today. It actually made some progress, interesting progress. So that'll be something I'll talk about in the near future. But you have a good evening, and I'll see you soon. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I appreciate that. And please watch some of my playlists. I need to build up my watch hours, and only you can help me build up my watch. Only you can help me build up my watch hours. All right, thanks. I'll see you again later.